In a peaceful green village, surrounded by rolling hills, sparkling streams, and endless fields of colorful wildflowers, there lived a cheerful little boy who loved exploring nature. Every morning, he would wake up to the sweet songs of birds and run through the village paths, admiring the beauty around him. The village was filled with tall trees, blooming flowers, and fresh air that made every day feel special. Although he enjoyed many adventures, the person he loved spending time with the most was his grandmother. She was known throughout the village for her kindness, wisdom, and gentle heart. Every evening, children gathered around her to listen to her wonderful stories about life, courage, patience, and hope. One bright morning during the school holidays, the little boy noticed his grandmother carrying a woven basket and quietly walking toward a narrow path behind their house. Curious about where she was going, he followed her and asked if he could come along. With a warm smile, she agreed. Together, they walked through a beautiful forest where sunlight filtered through the leaves like golden ribbons. Birds chirped from the branches, butterflies fluttered through the air, and a cool breeze gently moved the leaves above them. After some time, they arrived at an old wooden gate covered with flowering vines. The grandmother slowly opened the gate, and the little boy gasped in amazement. Behind it was the most beautiful garden he had ever seen. Colorful flowers stretched in every direction. Fruit trees were heavy with ripe mangoes and guavas. Butterflies danced among the blossoms, and a crystal-clear pond reflected the bright blue sky. The entire place looked like a magical paradise hidden away from the world. The boy could hardly believe his eyes.
Seeing his amazement, the grandmother smiled and explained that the garden had not always looked this way. Many years ago, the land had been dry, empty, and lifeless. There were no flowers, no trees, and no birds. The ground was hard, and nothing seemed able to grow there. The little boy found it difficult to imagine such a beautiful place being barren. He asked how she had transformed it. The grandmother knelt beside a flower bed and explained that she had started with only a few tiny seeds. Every day she watered them, protected them from animals, and cared for them patiently. Some plants grew quickly, but others took years before they became strong. There were storms that damaged young plants, hot summers that dried the soil, and difficult seasons when many flowers failed to bloom. Yet she never stopped trying. She believed that every seed held the possibility of becoming something beautiful if given enough care and time. Then she reached into her basket and handed the boy a tiny seed. Looking at it, he wondered how something so small could ever become important. The grandmother smiled and told him that many great things in life begin small. Together, they found an empty spot in the garden, dug a small hole, planted the seed, and watered it carefully. The next morning, the boy rushed to the garden to see if it had grown, but there was nothing. The day after that, he checked again, and still nothing had changed. Days passed, and each morning he returned with hope. Sometimes he felt impatient and wondered if the seed would ever grow. Still, he continued watering it faithfully because he trusted his grandmother's words.
One morning, after many days of waiting, the little boy noticed a tiny green sprout emerging from the soil. His face lit up with excitement, and he ran to call his grandmother. She smiled proudly and reminded him that good things often take time. From that day forward, the boy cared for the young plant every day. He watered it regularly, removed weeds growing around it, and made sure it received enough sunlight. As the weeks passed, he began to understand that patience was just as important as hard work. One afternoon, dark clouds gathered above the village, and a powerful storm swept across the countryside. Strong winds bent the trees, thunder echoed through the hills, and heavy rain poured from the sky. the boy became worried about the little plant. He feared that all their hard work would be destroyed. The grandmother calmly explained that storms are a natural part of life and that strong roots help living things survive difficult times. The next morning, they hurried to the garden. The boy looked anxiously toward the plant and was relieved to see it still standing. Tiny raindrops sparkled on its leaves as sunlight broke through the clouds. The grandmother gently touched the plant and explained that challenges often make us stronger. As the months passed, the plant continued to grow taller and healthier until it became a beautiful young tree. Birds rested on its branches, flowers bloomed around its roots, and it became one of the most beautiful parts of the garden. The boy felt proud every time he looked at it because he knew he had helped it grow. One evening, as they sat beside the pond, watching the sunset paint the sky with shades of gold, orange, and pink, the boy asked why she had spent so many years creating the garden.
The grandmother looked around at the flowers, trees, butterflies, and birds before answering that beauty grows wherever patience, kindness, and care are planted. Her words stayed with him. He realized that the garden was much more than a collection of plants. Every flower represented patience, every tree represented perseverance, and every bird represented hope. Years later, the boy grew older, but he never forgot the lessons he learned in the garden. He continued caring for it alongside his grandmother, planting new flowers and nurturing young trees. The garden became a gathering place for the entire village, where families relaxed under the shade of trees, children played among colorful flowers, and travelers stopped to enjoy its beauty. Whenever someone asked how such a wonderful garden had been created, he would smile and explain that great things begin with small efforts. With patience, hard work, and kindness, even the smallest seed can grow into something extraordinary. As the years passed, the garden continued to flourish, filling the village with color, life, and happiness. The lessons learned there lived on through every flower that bloomed, every bird that sang, and every tree that stood tall beneath the warm village sun. Moral of the story: small efforts, when nurtured with patience, perseverance, and kindness, can grow into extraordinary achievements.